Power isn't the roar of a lion, it's the silence of the abyss. It's the devastating miscalculation made by those who mistake quiet for weakness. They prod and poke, expecting a flinch, a shout, a predictable reaction to their foolish provocations. What they get instead is a cold, calculated dismantling of their entire reality. Welcome to the Sigma male community. This is not a lecture hall for the timid or a support group for the fragile. This is a digital stoa, a modern proving ground for the self-reliant man who builds his world with his own hands and protects it with an unbreakable will. Today we are not merely listing traits, we are decrypting an operating system. We are exploring the fundamental reasons why provoking a man who has mastered his own soul is a gamble against a house that never loses. This is a journey into the mind of the silent strategist, the man who embodies the timeless strength of Stoic philosophy without ever needing to speak its name. This exploration is a warning, but more importantly, it is a blueprint. It is a guide to understanding the profound, unshakable power that comes not from external validation, but from an inner citadel that no army can breach. For those who walk this path, you will find validation in these words. For those who seek to understand it, prepare to have your definition of strength fundamentally altered. We will dissect the unwritten laws that govern the Sigma's response to a world that constantly tests his resolve. Pay close attention because the lessons here are not just about avoiding conflict. They are about mastering the very essence of power itself, an internal power that makes a man immune to the chaos and provocations of the outside world. This is the art of strategic existence, and the rules are written in stone. 1. The silent detonator, latent strength. Beneath the serene, often impassive exterior of the Sigma male lies a force of nature held in perfect equilibrium. It is not the agitated energy of a man itching for a fight, but the dormant power of a volcano, silent until its sovereignty is challenged. Those who mistake this calm for passivity are making a critical error in judgment. When a line is crossed, the response is not an outburst of fragile ego or chaotic rage. Instead, it is a tectonic shift in the environment, a deliberate and precise recalibration of reality. He doesn't engage in the messy theatrics of a shouting match. He enforces a boundary with the clean, cold efficiency of a surgeon's scalpel. The provocation, the aggression, the disrespect, it is all turned to ash, not through a fiery confrontation, but through a decisive action that renders the conflict null and void. The goal is not to win the argument, it is to erase the problem and reset the balance. This latent strength is born from a deep well of self-mastery, the cornerstone of a Stoic mindset that values internal control over external displays. His power is not a tool for dominance wielded by insecurity, it is a fundamental law of his personal universe. He does not seek to win fights because, in his world, a fight is already a failure of strategy. When you witness a Sigma's authority truly unleashed, it is an awesome and sobering event. It is like watching a dam that has silently held back a world of pressure finally give way, not with a crack, but with a complete and overwhelming surge that quietly drowns everything in its path. To provoke him is to invite a consequence, not a conflict, and the result is always the same: a swift and silent return to order, with the provocateur left stranded on the wrong side of a newly fortified wall. 2. The human algorithm, objectivity. In moments of chaos, where most are swamped by the turbulent tides of emotion, the Sigma male becomes a bastion of pure logic. His mind operates like a sophisticated algorithm, filtering the signal from the noise with ruthless efficiency. Your panic, your anger, your desperate emotional appeals, they are not processed as valid inputs. They are identified as static, as corrupt data that interferes with the primary function, solving the problem. He dissects conflicts with the clinical detachment of a scientist, stripping away the drama, the personal insults, and the subjective grievances to reveal the raw, objective facts of the situation. He does not get bogged down in who is right or wrong based on feelings. He identifies the root cause of the disequilibrium and calculates the most direct path to a resolution. This is not a sign of coldness or a lack of empathy, it is the pinnacle of clarity. It is a profoundly Stoic discipline, the practice of seeing things as they are, not as our emotions paint them. While others are reacting to the theatricality of a crisis, the Sigma is deconstructing its mechanics. To provoke him is to submit your emotionally charged arguments to a high-powered logic engine that will inevitably find the flaws. Your passionate narrative, your carefully constructed justifications, they unravel like faulty code under his dispassionate analysis. He is not trying to hurt your feelings. He has simply invalidated them as irrelevant to the equation. He deals in cause and effect, in logic and consequence, leaving no room for the distortions of a subjective mind. 3. The Vanishing Protocol, Boundary Enforcement. The Sigma's world is a curated ecosystem, a space governed by an unspoken code of mutual respect and integrity. When you violate that code, you do not trigger a war, you trigger an amputation. There is no dramatic confrontation, no heated debate, no lengthy negotiation over your transgressions. One moment you are a part of his reality, the next you are simply gone. Your calls go unanswered, your messages remain unread, your presence is met with a quiet indifference that is more absolute than any screamed insult. You cease to exist. This is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of existential hygiene. He understands that his time, his energy, and his focus are his most precious resources, and he will not allow them to be contaminated by toxicity. He excises those who prove themselves to be a threat to his internal peace with the same finality a surgeon uses to remove a malignant tumor. Loyalty and trust are the very foundations of the fortress in which he operates. Betrayal is not just a disappointment, it is a critical system failure that trips a self-destruct sequence for the connection you once had. Once that sequence is initiated, it cannot be reversed. There are no appeals, no second chances, no pathways back into the fold. This decisive boundary enforcement is a testament to his self-reliance. He does not need your presence to feel whole, and therefore he has no fear of your absence. If you find yourself on the outside of his walls, it is because you, through your own actions, handed him the justification to lock the gate forever. The silence that follows is not a punishment. It is the sound of a system that has successfully purged a threat and restored its own integrity. 4. The Oracle's Gaze, Foresight. The Sigma male does not simply react to the present. He moves through a world he has already mapped out. His perception is a form of silent data harvesting, a continuous and almost subconscious process of observation and analysis. He is a master at reading the subtle currents that lie beneath the surface of human interaction. He doesn't just listen to your words. He analyzes your vocal tremors, the slight hesitation before a lie, the micro-expressions that betray your true intent. He reads body language, social dynamics, and subconscious tics like a language he has been fluent in his entire life. While others are busy seeing people, the Sigma is seeing patterns, systems, and trajectories. Your next move isn't a surprise to him because he logged the precursors to it in his mental ledger days or even weeks ago. This isn't psychic ability, it's a form of high-level pattern recognition, a stoic practice of paying sober attention to reality. He architects his strategies based on this deep understanding of human nature and its predictable loops. To challenge him is to unknowingly step onto a chessboard that he designed, on which he has already calculated the most likely outcomes of every possible move. What you perceive as a spontaneous, surprise attack was, in his mind, a scheduled event he had already prepared for. You think you are playing checkers, making a bold move to finally corner him. In reality, you are a pawn in a game of Grandmaster chess, and your bold move was the very one he anticipated and was counting on you to make. 5. The Unbreakable Core, Calm Under Pressure. When crisis erupts and the world descends into chaos, it does not shatter the Sigma, it sharpens him. For the unprepared mind, turmoil is a destructive force that causes panic and paralysis. For the Sigma, it is a forge. The intense pressure burns away all that is unnecessary, leaving only a core of pure, focused clarity. He becomes like ice in a firestorm, clear, cutting, and seemingly untouchable by the heat. His stoic training allows him to compartmentalize the natural surge of adrenaline and fear, transforming these raw emotions not into a source of frantic action, but into a reservoir of heightened awareness and fuel. He doesn't just survive storms, he learns to navigate their currents, using their very energy to propel himself forward. While others are drowning in a sea of panic, their judgment clouded by fear, the Sigma's mind is already charting exit routes, identifying opportunities, and deconstructing the threat into manageable parts. He is the calm eye of the hurricane, the one still variable in a world of chaos. To provoke him in the middle of a crisis is one of the most foolish moves imaginable. You are not confronting a rattled man, you are facing a mind that has been honed by disaster, a consciousness that operates at its peak performance when the stakes are highest. You are bringing a match to a fight with a man who is already weaponizing the inferno. To the one watching this on Sigma male community, whether you live these truths or study them, understand this. Sigmas aren't defined by traits but by operating systems. What follows isn't a list, it's a blueprint for those who refuse to be moved. What you call provoking, they call target practice. 6. Zero tolerance doctrine, intolerance for disrespect. In the curated world of the Sigma male, respect is not a negotiable currency, it is the very air he breathes. His boundaries are not merely suggestions, they are electrified fences. To touch them with disrespect is to receive an immediate and decisive shock that removes you from the equation. There is no debate, no lengthy explanation, no attempt to educate the foolish. Foolishness, in his view, is not a perspective to be understood, but a toxic element to be purged. He curates his social and personal environment with the meticulous care of a master gardener tending a sacred grove, and he uproots the weeds of drama, manipulation, and disrespect at the first sign of their growth. He knows that to tolerate nonsense is to invite more of it, and his world has no room for such infestations. His tolerance for time-wasting and disrespect is functionally non-existent. If you waste his time, you become a ghost in his past. If you disrespect his principles, you become a lesson he has already learned. The profound silence that follows your offense is not a sign of contemplation or forgiveness. It is your official deletion notice. It is the sound of a door being permanently and quietly locked. He has not held a grudge. He has simply concluded that you are not worth the energy expenditure of another thought. This zero-tolerance doctrine isn't born of arrogance, but of a profound self-respect. He has built his peace from the ground up, and he will incinerate any threat to it on contact. 7. The gravity well, quiet influence. The Sigma does not lead by shouting commands from a pedestal. He does not chase followers or demand loyalty. Instead, he leads with gravity. His influence is a natural consequence of his being. His unwavering integrity, his demonstrated competence, and his silent consistency create a powerful gravitational well that pulls others into his orbit. People are not drawn to him because of what he says, but because of what he does. His actions are his resume, his results are his testimony. In a world of loud promises and fragile egos, his quiet, relentless competence becomes a magnetic force. Loyalty is not demanded, it is earned, magnetized by the sheer force of his character. This quiet influence creates a formidable, often unseen network of allies. These are not sycophants, but other competent individuals who recognize and respect his strength. To challenge a Sigma, therefore, is rarely a one-on-one affair. You are not just attacking a man, you are attacking a symbol, a central point of stability for others. In doing so, you will find that his allies, who value the order and integrity he represents, often become his shields without him ever having to ask. His resolve becomes a hammer, and their respect for him becomes an anvil. Your provocation echoes through an ecosystem you didn't even know existed, and the response comes not just from him, but from the world he has quietly built around him. 8. The solitary reactor, self-reliance. The Sigma male is often described as a lone wolf, but this is a shallow interpretation. He is not an island, isolated and adrift. He is a fortress, self-contained and fully provisioned. His sense of validation, his worth, and his purpose are generated internally. He is a solitary reactor, producing his own energy without needing to plug into the grid of social approval. For him, being alone is not a state of loneliness, it is a state of being undistracted. It is in this focused solitude that he refines his skills, builds his plans, and architects his solutions while others are out begging for backup or seeking consensus. His strength is not contingent on having a team around him. His team is a force multiplier, not a prerequisite. To provoke a man with this level of self-reliance is to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of the battle. You believe you are fighting a person, but you are actually storming a self-sufficient citadel. You are trying to lay siege to a fortress that has no supply lines for you to cut. The moat surrounding this fortress is his absolute indifference to your opinion. Your insults, your threats, your attempts to isolate him, they all evaporate before they even reach the walls. He does not need your approval to exist, and therefore you have no leverage. You are attacking a structure whose foundations are buried deep within his own soul, and you will find that your weapons are useless against it. 9. The depth illusion, misjudged depth. One of the most common and fatal errors people make is to mistake the Sigma's calm exterior for a shallow pond. They see his stoic silence, his lack of outward reaction, and they assume simplicity. They believe that what they see is all there is. This is the depth illusion, and it is a deliberately maintained strategic advantage. Beneath that tranquil surface lies a complex, multi-layered labyrinth of thought, strategy, and observation. While you are dismissing his silence as a lack of intelligence or engagement, he is quietly cataloging your every word, your every weakness, your every predictable pattern of behavior. He is allowing you to feel superior, to become comfortable, to underestimate him completely. This underestimation is the most dangerous trap you can fall into. The quiet observer in the corner of the room, the one you wrote off as insignificant, has already run a dozen simulations of how this interaction will play out. He has drafted your defeat while you were still admiring your own reflection. He allows you to see only what he wants you to see, a placid, non-threatening surface. By the time you realize that you are not standing at the edge of a puddle but at the shore of a deep and unforgiving ocean, you are already drowning in the consequences of your misjudgment. His depth is his greatest camouflage, and your assumption of his simplicity is your undoing. 10. The Chaos Architect, Adaptability. Where rigid minds break, the Sigma mind adapts. Change, uncertainty, and chaos do not faze him. They are simply new variables in the equation, new materials with which to build. He is a chaos architect, capable of pivoting his strategy mid-battle, of turning unexpected setbacks into calculated setups. He views plans not as rigid, sacred texts, but as fluid frameworks that are meant to be altered and improved in real time. Rigidity is for statues, for things that are destined to be worn down by the elements. The Sigma is like quicksilver, fluid, relentless, and impossible to grasp. Just when you think you have him cornered, he has already morphed into something else, flowing through the cracks in your strategy. This radical adaptability makes him an unpredictable and formidable opponent. Your carefully constructed plan of attack might collapse due to a single unforeseen event, throwing you into confusion. For the Sigma, that same event is an opportunity. While you are scrambling to salvage your old plan, he is already 3 moves ahead, deconstructing the collapsed board and rebuilding it in his favor. He does not just respond to change, he integrates it, harnesses its energy, and uses it to forge a new and more effective path forward. To provoke him is to challenge a man who can improvise a masterpiece of strategy from the wreckage of your own failed attack. 11. The Patience Siege, Strategic Patience. In a world that glorifies speed and instant gratification, the Sigma male is a grandmaster of the lost art of patience. He understands that timing is everything and that some victories are won not by swift action, but by strategic inaction. He will observe, calculate, and wait with a stillness that can be deeply unsettling to his adversaries. Provokers, often driven by ego and a need for immediate reaction, will exhaust themselves against his wall of silence. They will throw their tantrums, expend their energy, and reveal their entire strategy, all while the Sigma simply watches, learns, and waits for the perfect moment to act. His inaction is not weakness, it is a coiled strike. This patient siege is one of his most powerful weapons because it uses the provoker's own impatience against them. He lets you defeat yourself. When he finally does make his move, it is not a rash reaction. It is a deliberate, decisive action executed with surgical precision at the moment of your greatest weakness. It is checkmate, delivered in broad daylight, long after you thought the game was over. He has outlasted your emotional storm and waited for the calm, clear moment where his single, calculated move can dismantle your entire position. Your impatience becomes his greatest asset, and his patience becomes your inevitable downfall. To provoke a Sigma is to fundamentally misunderstand the game of power. It is not a battle of ego, volume, or force. It is a test of reality, and the Sigma is the one who calmly defines its terms. The 11 pillars we have discussed today are not just defensive mechanisms. They are the active architecture of a sovereign mind. This knowledge isn't just about understanding others. It's a mirror. It is a tool for self-reflection, a blueprint for forging your own unbreakable core. Look at these principles and see where you stand. See where your fortress is strong and where its walls may need reinforcing. Here at the Sigma Male community, we are not just sharing ideas. We are building a legacy of self-mastery. This channel is your forge, the whetstone against which you can sharpen your own mind and your own resolve. If this transmission resonated with the steel in your spine, then acknowledge it. Press the like button to signal your understanding. Descend into the comments and share your own experiences with this silent strength, or simply leave a quiet nod of understanding for the men who walk this path alongside you. Share this blueprint with a brother who you know is building his own fortress, one who understands that true power is built in silence. And finally, if you have not already committed to this journey with us, subscribe to the Sigma Male community and activate the notification bell. In a world of constant noise, we are a clear signal. Do not miss the next transmission from the vanguard of self-mastery. Stay vigilant. Stay sovereign. And always remember, the most dangerous man is not the one who makes the most noise, but the one you never see coming.